Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's session on AWS Storage Gateway and escaping the pain of physical tape management. I'm Ellen Rubin, I'm head of Storage Gateway, and joining me today I have Bhavin Patel and Ed Laura, who are Senior Product Manager and Solutions Architect from the Storage Gateway team. We're excited to get started, but just quick logistics before that. We will be sharing the slides and the recording from today's session after we have the live program today. And we also are looking forward to doing a lot of Q&A at the end. So please put all your questions into the control panel during the session. And if we don't answer them, we'll make sure that somebody gets back to you within a day or two. So with that, we can get going. Our topic for today is how to get away from some very long-standing and probably well-known by many of you backup challenges. A lot of our customers are using physical tapes and infrastructure. A lot of it is very old and has been around for a long time. It's extremely expensive. And customers are dealing with the desire to shrink their infrastructure on premises and move to the cloud, but also with the fact that their CapEx budgets are declining or flat, and they don't really want to spend more money on these things. So this webinar is going to talk directly to some great solutions that we have to help you overcome these challenges. So just as an introduction, AWS Storage Gateway is a service that provides on-premises access to AWS Cloud Storage. It's designed for customers of all sizes, shapes, industries who want to use a hybrid cloud storage model in which they have many things on-prem that they want to continue to run, applications, security infrastructure, other things. But they also want to be able to take advantage of the scale and agility and all of the different services in the cloud. So we have a local cache that is deployed either in a virtual version across all different hypervisors as well as a physical hardware appliance. And it connects into your local infrastructure using standard protocols, including NFS, SMB, iSCSI, and for the case of this today's conversation, we'll be talking about virtual tape libraries. That allows low latency and cached access to data that needs to be accessed by the applications on-prem. But we're also connecting in to the AWS Cloud Services to provide a complete solution with all of the different storage services like S3 and Glacier and Deep Glacier, as well as other services like key management and identity and access management and other things, as well as all of the services you're familiar with in Amazon for analytics and machine learning. And we optimize the transfer of your data across between the on-premises environment to the cloud. So we've really tried to build something specifically for customers who continue to want to run things locally, but of course want all of the growth and scale that the cloud provides. There are three different types of gateways. We won't really spend time today on file gateway or volume gateway, but there is plenty of information available on our website at Storage Gateway under the Amazon site, as well as a lot of materials on YouTube and other places, and we'll point out some of those resources later. But for today, the focus on Tape Gateway is where we're really going to spend the bulk of the time and talking about being able to switch your tape backups to AWS. And so I'll hand it over to Bhavin to dive into that in more detail.
Thanks, Ellen, and hello, everyone. Let me give you an overview of Tape Gateway. So Tape Gateway is at its core a virtual tape library backed by AWS Cloud Storage. It emulates a physical tape library and consists of virtual tapes, virtual media changer, and virtual tape drives. You can present Tape Gateway as a virtual tape library to your backup applications for backups and archives. Through Tape Gateway, you can write to a collection of virtual tapes that's stored on the gateway, which is backed by the massively scalable Amazon S3. Tape Gateway integrates with Amazon S3 storage classes such as S3 Glacier and S3 Glacier Deep Archive, so that when you no longer require immediate or frequent access to data contained on a virtual tape, you can archive the tape in the storage classes. We see customers using Tape Gateway for both backups and archives. So they'll use Tape Gateway as a storage target directly from their backup application on a periodic basis, or simply copy their backup stored on-premises storage to AWS using tape copy function in the backup application. Next, let me help you understand why you would want to use Tape Gateway for your backups and archives. At a high level, there are 4 benefit categories here that you are seeing, and I'll do a deep dive on each of them in the upcoming slides. Tape Gateway provides a drop-in replacement for your physical tape infrastructure. It eliminates the operational burden of provisioning, scaling, maintaining, and upgrading your physical tape infrastructure. It scales seamlessly with your business needs and provides a pay-as-you-go pricing compared to incurring an upfront capital expense. And using Tape Gateway costs significantly less than using physical tape infrastructure. And let me show you how the costs for the two compare. So this here is a cost comparison of how a self-managed physical tape storage infrastructure fares against Tape Gateway. On the left-hand side, you can see the physical tape library, which has certain cost components, which include tape library maintenance, tape media costs, admin time, and offsite archiving. This costs about $57K per year. And on the right-hand side, you can see that Tape Gateway costs significantly less. It's about $16.7K per year, which is 70% lower than what it would cost on premises. And with Tape Gateway, as I was mentioning earlier, Tape Gateway is integrated with Glacier Deep Archive, and Glacier Deep Archive costs as low as $1 per terabyte per month. In the second class of benefits here, Tape Gateway provides easy management. Tape Gateway is integrated with multiple backup applications, which make it easier for you to switch from using physical tape library backups to using virtual tapes on Tape Gateway. You don't need to change any of your backup workflows. With Tape Gateway, you store your data in Amazon S3, but you don't need to create and manage your own buckets or set lifecycle policies to transition tapes between S3 and S3 Glacier or Glacier Deep Archive. All of that is done for you by the Storage Gateway service. You only need to manage virtual tapes and the gateway itself, which helps you adopt cloud much faster when you're juggling multiple initiatives at work and are in constant time crunch. We have made tape management even more easier with the recent launch of automatic tape creation, whereby you can set a configuration on the gateway and tapes will be created automatically for you. Tape Gateway is deployed at your premises, but all management, monitoring, and software updates are done centrally from AWS. And there are multiple form factors available for you to deploy Tape Gateway on as well. Tape Gateway provides several security and compliance measures which are needed by customers that are operating in several different industries. Your archive tapes are marked as read-only, so you can be assured that no one can accidentally overwrite the tapes when you restore data from those tapes. So in a way, the archive tapes are warm, or write once, read many. And the data transferred between gateway and cloud is encrypted in transit. Data at rest in cloud is encrypted server-side using server-side encryption keys, or you have the ability to manage encryption using your own keys as well. And finally, Tape Gateway is HIPAA eligible, and it supports the compliances that are listed here, which are necessary for our customers to operate in regulated industries. And finally, with respect to performance, Tape Gateway provides you the ability to cache your most recent backups locally and offer faster recovery so that you don't need to fetch data from the cloud as often. It also helps with reducing the data egress costs. Tape Gateway also compresses the data prior to synchronizing with cloud. And the data compression factor will typically depend on what type of data you're backing up and whether that data set is compressible or not. And with Tape Gateway, when it comes to data, restoring data from tapes, you control your own destiny. So rather than having to put in a special request for tape retrieval, as you would do if a physical tape were stored offline, in Tape Gateway's case, you can retrieve an archived tape on your own from AWS Management Console and monitor the retrieval progress as well. So Tape Gateway supports all leading backup applications. And this here is a list of all vendors whose backup applications are qualified for use with Tape Gateway. Chances are that you're using one of these apps already. And if you are, all you will have to do is simply point these apps to use a virtual tape library that's presented from the Tape Gateway instead of using a physical tape library. Next, let me walk you through two case studies of customers who are using Tape Gateway. It will help you understand what were some of the pain points that were faced by these customers, why they selected Tape Gateway, and what benefits they have seen from using Tape Gateway. So our first case study here is from Southern Oregon University in the United States. So before starting to using Tape Gateway, Southern Oregon University, or SOU, was backing up data on physical tapes. They had a data center and they were storing physical tapes in the same region. And they were interested in improving their DR scenario since they're located in the Pacific Northwest in the United States, which is prone to earthquakes. They had some pain points with the existing solution that they did not want to continue with. For example, loading, unloading, and fixing tape libraries, buying more hardware, and spending staff hours behind managing tape libraries. They also wanted to keep the solution to work with their existing backup software, and due to budget constraints, keep cost as low as possible. So they looked at several different options, including sticking with what they were doing, which was certainly not acceptable, going with a managed services provider, and ultimately, AWS emerged as sort of the third option there. They ended up selecting AWS because Tape Gateway worked with their existing backup software, Veeam, and it also offered a usage-based model as opposed to spending money upfront. So this here is what their architecture looks like. On the left-hand side, you can see their data center. You can see the various workloads that are running in the data center, including VMware, cluster, Windows servers, NAS, and Veeam, which is their backup software. So with the movement to using AWS for storage, they deployed Tape Gateway on a virtual machine in their data center, and they connected Tape Gateway to Veeam. And now they're using Veeam to back up all of their workloads through the Tape Gateway into AWS. They are connecting to US North Virginia region, which is, again, located in a different geographical region within the United States, and it provides them better data protection. So with Tape Gateway, as you can see, SOU is able to save money. The total cost of using Tape Gateway is much less than what they were using with physical tapes. They were able to simplify the management, whereby they no longer need to manage the tape infrastructure or offsite storage. They're able to reduce the time and effort to achieve their desired goal. And now they're able to better focus on services they can offer within the university instead of spending time on managing the tape infrastructure. Since moving over to AWS, their DR situation has also greatly improved. And overall, they have a better data protection solution now with AWS. Another use case that I want to discuss here is for a university in the Midwest US, which is using Tape Gateway for research data. So our champion within the university is the central IT team, which offers storage as a service to the various departments within the university. And a bulk of their data actually comes from operational and research servers. This is where the university gets research grants and they conduct and publish research. What they found is their research data was growing fast, and they wanted a place to archive that data for 7 years or even for the lifetime, depending on the type of the project. However, they were running out of storage capacity on premises, and it was also infeasible cost-wise to store this data for the long term on premises. They also wanted to make this data available easily and shared with other researchers within the community upon request. So they switched over to using Tape Gateway, and since then they have scaled to multiple petabytes of virtual tape storage within AWS. They're able to meet data access as well as data compliance needs while keeping the existing backup software, which is Veeam, in place. And since switching over to AWS, they were storing data in Glacier and already saving money. And after the launch of Glacier Deep Archive at the beginning of last year, they have moved over to storing their archives in Glacier Deep Archive and are saving even more. So their monthly spend has gone down by 75%. Next, let me talk you through how Tape Gateway works. I'll first start with how the backup flow works with Tape Gateway. As I was mentioning earlier, Tape Gateway presents a virtual tape library, and it emulates virtual tapes, tape drives, and media changers that are presented over iSCSI to your backup application. Tape Gateway presents 10 tape drives and a single media changer that you will see in the backup app. You will create tapes on the Tape Gateway and present them to the backup application. The backup application will write backups or archives to these tapes, which are backed by the Storage Gateway local cache, as well as your data is stored in S3. And as soon as the backup application is done writing data to tapes and it no longer needs frequent access to the tapes, you can choose to eject or export the tapes from the backup application, which will lead the Tape Gateway to then move these tapes from S3 to Glacier or Glacier Deep Archive, whichever pool you specified when you created these tapes. So that was the backup workflow. What you're seeing now is how restore works with Tape Gateway. Typically, with restoring data from Tape Gateway, you need to go through two steps. One is if your tapes are archived in Glacier or Glacier Deep Archive, you will have to use AWS Storage Gateway Console or API to find the tape and retrieve the tape from Glacier or Glacier Deep Archive to Amazon S3. And once the tape is available in Amazon S3, then you can present it to the backup application for restore. You can restore your virtual tape to a Tape Gateway that's running on premises, or you can spin up an EC2, spin up a Tape Gateway on an EC2 instance in cloud as well, if you have your backup application running in the cloud. This here is a latest set of features of Tape Gateway. As you can see, we have improved performance, which is write performance as well as read performance. This will really help you do faster backups and restores. We have also simplified management that Ed will cover in the demo, where he will show you how Tape Gateway is set up to do automatic tape creation. And we also simplified management, where you can get more visibility into Tape Gateway. And again, we have added the ability for you to run Tape Gateway uninterrupted by providing high availability for VMware-based gateways. Next, let me hand it over to Ed Laura, who will walk you through the demo.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Bhavin. So today, we are going to walk you through a demonstration of how you would actually deploy a tape gateway in your on-premises environment. In our example, we got tape gateway will be deployed side by side with an existing physical tape infrastructure and connect directly to the current backup application. Then we'll show you how easy it is to really start writing your backups to the AWS cloud, simply by switching really the target of your existing backup jobs from those physical tapes over to the new virtual tape library and virtual tapes that'll be stored out in Glacier or Glacier Deep Archive. And then there's no need to create any new backup jobs. So again, that simplicity of taking those existing backup jobs, that existing backup workflow that you have for your archives, and transferring that over to AWS Virtual Tape Library. Okay, so we are in our demo environment and deployed a tape gateway on premises as a virtual machine in our VMware environment. Right now, we are logged into our AWS console underneath Storage Gateway, and we've created this gateway. You can see the naming convention, AWS Tape Gateway US East 2-03. And for this demo, we've pre-configured and pre-deployed this tape gateway. If you are just getting started, you first create a gateway by logging into your AWS console, navigating to services, and then to Storage Gateway. Here you create gateway, download the template VM image, which depends on your environment, which image type you would choose, and then you deploy that VM in your environment, and then activate that automatically over that secured network back to the AWS cloud. So in this case, you can see that we have already activated this gateway by looking at the status column. We are running in green. We have also done a number of things like VMware high availability status. That is a test where we actually plug into VMware's high availability features to enable a gateway to be highly available. And then we can see the last time we actually tested that functionality as well. And then some other key things. We do integrate with CloudWatch, so you get CloudWatch logs, specific metrics that we automatically capture for this particular gateway, and then you can also trigger alarms off of said metrics. So this console is also a central pane of glass for all of your gateways. So I've got a filter here just for this particular one, and you can see that this particular type is tape, but you could have all your file gateways, volume gateways, and numerous tape gateways as well within a single console. And we've also got 0 tapes created at this point in time. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna actually jump over and create some tapes for the first time. And to do that, we're gonna go to our tape library. So in our tape library, we have 2 things that you've got to define here. So we've got the notion of, we'll start with pools. A pool is really defining the storage class where your archive tapes are stored. And we've got two options today. That's Glacier and Glacier Deep Archive. There are a few things to consider when choosing your pool, such as retrieval patterns, length of retention required, and ultimately cost as well. For this demo, we're going to choose to store our tapes in S3 Glacier Deep Archive, which offers us the lowest cost storage in the cloud at about $1 per terabyte per month. And as Bhavin pointed out earlier, is also significantly lower than storing and maintaining data in an on-premises physical magnetic tape library, or additionally archiving that data off-site. So we then have our tapes, and this is our tape library. And our particular gateway that we've created currently has no tapes associated with it or created. So what we're going to do is we're going to create some tapes. And the way that we're going to do that is back on the gateway itself. We have the option, we call it, it's a feature tape auto create that Bhavin was mentioning earlier as well. And this is going to automatically manage your tape creation so that you don't have to manually go in and create tapes as, you've got a set amount of tapes. Those are being written to, those are being archived, and then your backup software needs new tapes to write new backups to, and this feature is going to take care of that automatically for you. So in our case, I'm going to go ahead and create 5 tapes so that I'll always have 5 tapes available. And the capacity, the minimum capacity that you can set for these tapes is 100 gigabytes, and the maximum is 5 terabytes. And with this particular type of AWS storage, you don't pay for what you provision. So if I set each tape to 1 terabyte and I've got 5 tapes, that's 5 terabytes of storage that we've essentially thin provisioned, and we don't pay for it until backups are actually written to these tapes. I'm going to go ahead and give it a barcode prefix, and we're going to choose our pool. We're going to choose the deep archive pool that we talked about a little bit earlier. So the other thing to note is that your data, as you're writing data and as we're configuring the tape gateway, it's using S3, so object storage S3 in the background between standard S3, Glacier, and Glacier Deep Archive. But really, for you as the administrator, all you need to know is this notion of tapes. All of that S3 management happens automatically as a managed service in the background for you. So these tapes will be stored in the Deep Archive pool. Once they are exported, and we'll walk through that process in the backup software, there's a function called export that actually triggers a tape to be sent to the archive, which would dump it and store it into this Glacier Deep Archive storage pool. And prior to that, as you are writing tapes, it's important to note that data actually does write to S3 until that data in that backup job sends that export command. And again, we'll walk through that so you can see what that looks like end to end. All right, so after we create that rule, we're going to go over and take a look at the tapes. They go from process of being status of creating to status of available. And at this point, we're now able to jump over to our on-prem environment to configure our backup application. All right, so on-premises, again, we have a VMware environment where we've deployed that tape gateway, which is just a virtual machine with very lightweight, minimal resources. It does include that local cache and has what's called an upload buffer to transfer that data up to the AWS cloud. All right, and then we've got our backup server we're going to jump over to. And what we've got in our backup server is we've got tape infrastructure. We've got a physical tape library that's currently archiving our backups. And what we've done is we've, again, connected that AWS virtual tape library directly to the same backup server. So these can run side by side and really enable us to do a seamless migration over to the AWS virtual tapes. And we can see that if we expand our AWS virtual tape library, we see 10 drives, those physical tape drives that we showed earlier, as well as the media changer. And what we're going to do is those tapes that we just created is simply import those tapes. That job will run, and then we'll end up having 5 tapes available. All right, and then we have our tapes that we are going to use to go to our existing tape jobs. And it's really simple as we hit edit, look at where those tapes are going to currently, which is our physical tape library. There's now a drop down for that S3 Glacier Deep Archive pool. And one thing with AWS Tape Gateway, we've talked about this export function. This is again going to trigger that backup to go into that Glacier Deep Archive pool when that job completes. And then we're going to hit finish. All right, and now what we're going to do is we're going to run a demo test job to show you what happens to a virtual tape when a backup job is written to it. So we're going to kick off this job. It's going to write data to that tape. So the tape is going to be loaded into the tape drive. Data will be written. And then we're going to, at the end, see that those settings to kick off that export is going to trigger in the AWS console that the tape gets sent to the archive. We can follow along in the process here. This export function is important. And we can go jump over, it looks like the job has finished. If we do a refresh, you can now see that particular tape is in transit, getting copied over to Glacier Deep Archive. And when that's done, the status will change to what we've got here, which is an actual archived tape. All right, and then the last thing we're going to cover, what we want to do is actually show what a restore would look like and how you would retrieve one of these tapes that's from the archive. So we're going to simply, I've got a tape that has already been archived, and we're going to go to Actions and say Retrieve Tape. Now, I can retrieve it to any gateway that I have. In our case, I'm going to do the same gateway that created the tape, and we hit Retrieve. So now that tape will sit in the retrieving state until it has been pulled from that archive storage class, and your backup software will be able to load the data and complete your restore. All right, and that's it. So I'm gonna hand it back over to Bhavin and Ellen to wrap up the presentation today.
Thanks, Ed, that was great. And now we're just gonna wrap up and then move to the Q&A. So as you hopefully saw from today's presentation, one of the things that you can really count on with Tape Gateway is that you can get started using AWS for your backups and archives very quickly and easily. Our customers tell us often that they get things lined up with Tape Gateway and deployed and activated and all of that and start using it, and they set it and forget it, which is exactly what we love to hear. Second thing which we wanted to really highlight was that it's just better overall in terms of the quality of the data protection, the ability to restore, making sure everything is really protected off-site, all of the benefits you get from being in AWS. And finally, and maybe should be most importantly, customers really want to reduce their infrastructure costs, they want to reduce their on-prem footprints, and they want to be able to take advantage of all the things that the cloud can offer for pay-as-you-go and scale as needed. So hopefully that gives you enough of a background. How can you get started? Well, please visit us on Amazon.com at Storage Gateway. We have a lot of materials there for learning. And what I did want to highlight is that there is a POC that you can do to kind of get your hands more dirty with things and get more comfortable. And of course, there's lots of community help and help from the AWS account team and ProServe and all of that. So we look forward to engaging and supporting you as you go forward. So that completes the presentation, but now we'll move to Q&A. And just before I do, thanks for all of the questions coming in. Please continue to send questions as you have been in the control panel, and we will definitely answer them if we don't get to them today by following up within the next day or two. And just as another reminder that we will be sending out the slides and recording after today's session. So Bhavin, a bunch of questions have come in for you. Let me start with a few of them. People were interested in pricing. You talked a lot about TCO, but how does the actual pricing work for Tape Gateway?
Yeah, absolutely, Ellen. So I would like to present a simple way of thinking about Tape Gateway pricing for our customers. One is storage. So how much data is being stored through the Tape Gateway into AWS, and where that data is stored. So for example, is it in S3, is it in Glacier or Glacier Deep Archive? So that's one dimension. The other is how much data is the gateway writing to AWS? How much data is the customer retrieving from AWS? So that's the second dimension. And then the third is how much data is being transferred out from AWS to the customer's gateway that's running on premises. So those are the three dimensions a customer would want to take a look at. We do have detailed pricing information available on Tape Gateway website, as well as we do have detailed cost calculators available as well for customers to do their own cost analysis.
Great. All right, and kind of a somewhat related question. Obviously, cost is very much on people's minds here. So customers are asking about, the participants are asking about Glacier or Glacier Deep Archive and achieving, a much lower cost type of a situation. So can you just explain a little bit again in terms of how you would get, sort of the most cost-effective way of doing this if you were going to try to leverage Glacier and Glacier Deep Archive?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great question. So as Ed showed, the Tape Gateway is typically deployed at your premises, and it connects to the Storage Gateway service that runs in the cloud. When the backup application is writing data to the Tape Gateway stores that data locally, as well as it asynchronously uploads that data to S3. So for a period of time when the tape is being actively written to, the data will be stored in S3. But as soon as you've decided that you're done basically with that backup job, you can choose to eject and export the tape from the backup software, as Ed was showing earlier during the demo. And what that will do is that will basically then archive the tape from S3 to either Glacier or Glacier Deep Archive. And you can start reaping the low-cost benefits of AWS storage as soon as that tape has been ejected and exported from the backup application.
Awesome, thank you. All right, hey Ed, so there were questions about, more operational stuff and, maybe kind of keying off of some of the demo things. So question about backup SLAs and the fact that you're uploading your tapes to Glacier, and how do you make sure that you're going to still fit, within your SLAs and the backup windows, for example, as well, that customers have?
Yeah, so typically with any gateway type, specifically tape gateway, we'll walk through with the customer what that local cache size needs to be, and we've got a lot of documentation online that we can point customers to. But really, it comes down to you've got data coming into the gateway. Depending on how big that backup job is, a lot of customers have an idea of what that backup size is going to be, and sizing your cache to meet the need of that local backup job. And in the back end, there's the throughput to the cloud as well. So bandwidth is a consideration, but if you think of it, data is coming in. We know how much data that is for a given backup job over a period of time, and we need to essentially get that data out to the cloud to free up that space for the next backup job. So data in, data out, and there's a sizing exercise, and again, documentation we can point customers to.
Great. And Bhavin, anything you wanted to add on that, or all good?
No, I think that's a great answer, Ed.
Cool, thanks. All right, so a little bit more related to kind of current events in terms of all these COVID issues. So people are wondering, with customer situations where they can't really get on site, and there's a lot of issues in terms of being able to do some of the things that they've done in the past with their tape management. How can Tape Gateway solve this problem for them, if such a scenario were to persist or come back? Bhavin, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I can certainly take that. As we have discussed throughout this presentation, that Tape Gateway presents a virtual tape library, and it's as simple as getting the image for VMware or Hyper-V or whichever option you choose to deploy your Tape Gateway on. You can simply download that image, run it on a virtual machine in your data center, and as Ed showed, it is a simple matter of pointing the backup application to using the virtual tape library instead of the physical tape library, and start backing up your jobs or your workloads to the virtual tape library that's presented by the Tape Gateway, and that will help you get started with using AWS for your backups and archives. You don't need to manage loading or unloading of the tapes within the tape library. So it's essentially a touchless operation because everything is virtual as far as the virtual tape library and Tape Gateway is concerned.
Great. Yeah, I think that's an unusual situation, that we find ourselves in, but yet over time, I think people will be happy not to have to do all of that, on-prem and manual stuff. Sorry, Ed, were you jumping in?
Yeah, I was going to kind of add, working with some customers that I've recently worked with too. The idea that they brought up was, hey, at one point there was this bare metal physical servers, and we switched over to virtualization for our, having these VMs. Getting that tape infrastructure, even if you had to go on site, and especially this COVID-19 exacerbates the issue. Getting somewhere, getting in the door, and having to press a button just to restart that system. Those are things that are all the virtualization helps with, and again the management of the tapes. You already covered all of that, Bhavin. Really just reduces a lot of management overhead that we hear time and time again from customers.
Great. All right, I think we only have time for one or two more here, and again we'll follow up on anything else that we don't get to, but. There's another question about deployment options, and so I'll just kind of restate what I had mentioned at the beginning. I was talking more generally about Storage Gateway, but it's for sure true with all of them, which is we have virtual versions as well as physical hardware appliances that the customer can deploy, and we certainly have customers that are doing both of those. And depending on what your on-prem environment is and your requirements in terms of how you can put a new appliance into your data infrastructure. I guess the last one, I'll just end on it, which is if I want to get started, what should I do first? Ed, you want to take that one and then we can wrap?
Yeah. What you can do first is very simply take a look at our product page, and we've got a whole getting started guide, which is really, if you have an AWS account already, very simple to go in and go, like I showed in the demo, to that the services storage gateway, download a template VM, get it installed in your environment, and be up and running. And we've got an entire user guide to get you started, but it's really a very short process, only a few steps to deploy that image, get it activated. You can run it right over. You can use a public internet, and it's a secure connection, but it's nice and easy to just get going and get started. Plug it right into your environment, and it's a seamless transition again from that physical infrastructure over to virtual tape library.
Great, thanks, Ed. All right, I think that wraps our session for today. Thanks to everybody for participating, and Bhavin and Ed, thanks for presenting. And we look forward to talking with you more about Storage Gateway.